Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark. Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. I feel like I have to identify that now because I have like so many series going on, so many different things. Everything from my stuff on Sherburne County, and I'm going to be bringing that up with Ashley, even though it's not her county. I want, when we bring her in, we're going to talk about her interest in the story and the fact that she's already demonstrated some things that are, to me, going to make her a phenomenal senator for Senate District 12 here in Minnesota, and also make her a great representative for what grassroots politics look like. And no, for those of you that are watching, grassroots politics has nothing to do with THC or hemp. We just need to get that out of the way. So I'm have a limited amount of time with Ashley. We're going to bring Christine in at one point, mostly so she can tell us what it's like having to corral Ashley, because Ashley is a mad man, woman, mad lady, man, girl. I don't. She's crazy, but we're gonna, in a good way. So we're gonna bring Ashley in, and then we'll bring Christine in at some point, and then at the end of the show, I'm going to do my acknowledgments and my thank yous and my pitch. But you guys can sit back behind me there and see my pitch the entire time. Yeah, so here we go. Ashley, one rule out of the gate: you cannot spring new news on me like you did when we were doing your little citizen update last week.
Well, we're monitoring our court case, so maybe we'll catch word of that we get a response.
That would be great. Have we heard? Has he? I mean, Tory did have until the end of the business day today to have his attorneys file all of that stuff electronically.
So it's unclear to me if it was the end of the business day or if he has until 11:59, being as it is e-file.
I'm betting it was business day, but it could be e-file. It could be an e-file issue, but you know, the courts don't tend to work on that particular time frame. So
I mean, I feel like it would be the end of the business day, but who knows?
I would say that because the judge isn't going to be sitting there waiting for it. It'd be interesting if the judge was sitting up waiting for the answer, but he's probably not waiting for it the way we are. So I want to get this out of the way right away, because I think, to me, this says a lot about your character. A couple of weeks ago, I posted a story, a brief little video of a lady who was physically removed from the Sherburne County Commission board meeting for the horrendous and felonious, treasonous crime of mentioning a board member, a couple of them actually, by name. Was no accusations, no attacks. We can sit here and have a conversation about whether or not naming someone by name and even saying something disparaging about them is okay for any governing body to silence. But that aside, you took immediate interest, even though Sherburne County will not be the county you're representing, and you actually reached out. You went straight to the big guns, so to speak, and went straight to Sheriff Bott and made a phone call that day. That day, you made a phone call and you had a conversation with the sheriff about that situation. I don't mean to throw you out there in a field of fire, but that's actually impressive, because I put a lot of these public interest stories out, and I have yet to have anybody who's running for office or sitting in office take that much interest, which is disappointing to me, considering supposedly I'm appealing to a particular base, which is more, Mises libertarians, conservative independents, paleo conservatives, and traditional conservatives. But we're not getting that kind of response from them that we got from you. And you didn't do it to garner votes, because you just messaged me and said, "Hey, I called you in Senate District 12 as a candidate to another to another." Did we freeze?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What would prompt you as a candidate for Senate District 12 to reach out to another district to make a phone call like that? I mean, that's a pretty bold move.
I just think of myself as a vigilante, you know, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, she's using we're having glitch issues.
Yeah, let me check my connection. I don't know if it's me.
No, I don't know if it's you, because I was getting the wheel of death too.
Yeah.
So, but I made the Christine messaged me and said, "No, it's TC." Thanks, Christine. That was helpful. Wonderful. It's always me. So you use the word vigilante. Is people are going to hear that and think of Bernard Gates or whatever his name was in New York, who was running around pinning people to the wall with his car and stuff. But I think maybe more of a grassroots activist. Did any of that come through? Can you hear me?
I heard grassroots activist.
So you're less of a vigilante and more of a grassroots activist.
Well, nonetheless, I mean, it's just about holding people accountable. I mean,
No, absolutely.
These are our servants, and whose job is it to hold them accountable other than we the people?
Is that something that when you win the election, regardless of what happens with your opponent, when you win the election and you take office as a senator, as a elected public servant at that point, are you going to have time, and will you make time to pay attention to situations like that and get involved, especially in your own district?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the intention and goal of my campaign and my bid for Senate. I mean, somebody needs to represent the people, and I don't think that's being done.
Christine's telling me to tell you to move to the left because the sun is in your eyes. Sounds like a song, doesn't it?
Left or the other left?
Your left. Your left. My right. There. You might have to just pick your chair up and move. Just no the other. You went the opposite direction. Is that better, Christine? Yeah, your whole chair. Your whole chair. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you work with outside stuff. Please tell me that you're actually at your house and not sitting on somebody else's property and trespassing to do this today.
Well, I'm in Kirkhoven today.
You're with Kurt Cobain today? What?
Kirkhoven.
Kirkhoven?
So I'm in the district today. I'm in Smith County. Yep.
I didn't know if maybe you went to Germany or something. I didn't know if maybe your enemies are coming after you that far. So you had an opportunity to run for the Republican nomination. You could have presented yourself as a conservative, grassroots, activist Republican in Senate District 12.
Per the request of many people, many organizations.
Right.
Yep. Nope. Running a primary Republican. I said, no way.
Well, but you could have even attempted to avoid the primary and gone in for the endorsement. Or had you not made the decision in time for that?
No, I didn't decide until filing, like a week before filing started. I think filing started maybe the 17th of May. And so maybe I decided May 10th.
So and I'm asking these questions to try and help people understand what your thought process was. You still would have had time to present yourself to the Republican body in your Senate district for the endorsement, but you still chose, even though you decided a week before filing, you still decided to go the route of independent, technically an independent, even though you kind of named your own personal party. You chose to go this route. What was the reasoning for that? Instead of going and trying to get the endorsement, did you just not want to monkey around with even trying to get the endorsement, let alone fight it out in the primary? Or was there something more philosophical about your reason to run as an independent and square off with a Republican and a DFLer?
Yeah, I just don't believe in the two-party system. To me, it seems very manipulative, and I think that all people should be representing their constituents independently. You shouldn't be representing a party. You should be representing your area.
Well, the heck you say. That what?
So
You can't do that. Once you get elected, you have to represent your party and your party leadership. And the reason I say that is if you haven't seen it yet, and I should probably, Christine can look it up. If you go to Eric Mortensen's YouTube channel, a sitting House member drove 100 and some miles down on the 8th of August to go and campaign for Eric Mortensen's opponent in the primary and unwittingly knocked on Eric Mortensen's door.
I was under the impression that it was deliberate and they knew where they were going, and that's why they traveled, was to talk to her. Like it was almost an antagonistic thing is what I was under the impression of, but maybe I comprehended the story wrong. I guess I'm not sure.
I would say from having listened to the conversation, he didn't have any idea who he was talking to, because you watch to the end of the video and she says, "Oh, hey, my husband's home. Would you like to meet him?" And Eric comes out and he beelines off the property like nobody's business. It was hilarious. But in that conversation that Mrs. Mortensen was having with this individual, he flat out says, "No, you take your direction from your caucus. Whatever caucus leadership tells you to do, you do. If they tell you to vote a certain way, you vote a certain way." And in that conversation, she even brings up, like, because he brought up that Mortensen hasn't written any legislation or sponsored any legislation that has passed. And she says that's not true. And she points out that he's worked with, yeah, we will. I'm reading messages. It's like I have voices in my head. I've got two ladies talking to me. I don't even know how to handle this kind of pressure. He brings up, and the reason I brought that up is because of what you said about representing the people, that Eric was willing to work with Democrats when they were doing something right. If the legislation was good, Eric was willing to work with them. Now, I'm one of those people who says I'm not reaching across the aisle to compromise. Not that it matters. I'm never going to run for office, but I'm never going to reach across the aisle in a matter of compromise to say, okay, I'll give you this if you give me that, as long as we can get along and get things passed. But there is a place to say, hey, wow, your idea on criminal justice reform is really, really good. We really do need to do something about criminal justice reform here in the state of Minnesota. And so I'm going to partner with you on that to co-sponsor this bill from the supposed left and the supposed right, and we're going to make this happen, because when we work together on that, we can maybe actually affect change that's good for the people. And the Republican Party, especially as it's led by the RINOs, the Republicans in name only, they compromise, but it's never good for the people they represent. It's always good for their status and their stature. And so it was really nice to hear you say, because I'm representing a group of people, I'm representing my constituents and not a party. You brought up in the chat, you brought up singular bills, which I'm assuming you mean you will not support any omnibus bill that comes your way.
Yeah, I feel like all bills should be singular. Anything else is kind of extortion, isn't it, in a way?
Well, explain to me what you mean by it being extortion in this case? Because I think I know what you're saying, but I want to make sure I understand you.
If we're constructing the omnibus bills and working on a very important issue, and then you're sliding things in, it's just not right.
So you mean piggybacking like pork barrel spending, or a particular project? So let's say we're passing some sort of legislation that's, let's say it's a conservative legislation, and it's going to be make Minnesota a Second Amendment sanctuary state or a constitutional carry state. And the DFLers come along and say, hey, we realize you're going to probably pass this, but we want to tack on a portion of this bill. We want to tack on spending for mental health. You're going to say in that situation, no, you want mental health. We could talk mental health spending. We could talk about that, but this is going to be a bill that stands alone.
Yeah, I feel like that's how bills should be.
Do you think, Ashley, that they do this multifaceted approach to passing bills for a couple of reasons? One of them being they can pack them full of things and nobody has time to read them, even at the state level.
Oh, absolutely. Don't they do that all the time?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but I mean,
okay.
But do you also think it's because it's not only is that they...
It's my Chihuahua.
Oh, well, you just won the campaign. Okay, maybe not. It's a Chihuahua. So, Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
So you have a couple of reasons that these bills pass or get done. One, it's because they can pack them full of things, and the Republican side especially can say, well, we had to vote for it because it had this one good thing in it. How are you going to, when you're elected, how are you going to affect change in that respect?
Yeah, I guess really I probably can't change anything. All I can do is be a voice.
Well, don't you think that can affect change though? Because
oh, absolutely.
There aren't.
If everybody's silent on these important issues,
there you go.
Drawing attention to it and being vocal about it, yeah, I guess that would put the pressure on other people. Maybe.
Oh, not maybe. I think that's one of the reasons why Mortensen has been unpopular, is because he's been very vocal about things that do happen, about the compromise and whatnot that happen. I mean, he's constantly got, some sort of video somewhere from inside the House, the House chamber, where he's got Republicans saying they're against mask mandates and they're never going to comply. And then on the House floor, they're all wearing mask mandates and he's the only one that's not. And then they're picking on him for not following the rules. And so I believe you in the Senate, going into a majority-led Senate led by Republicans, I think you would be a even stronger voice, because you're able to go in and say, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm here to do what's best for the people. But would you be willing to very publicly call out these I always say ominous, but omnibus bills? Would you be willing to ahead of time publicly hold, for lack of better terminology, press conferences and say, here's this 135-page multifaceted bill that should be a single page to get for every one of these things they want, but they're just trying to ramrod this through? Would you go out publicly ahead of time and say, here's what they're doing, and then break it down?
So that's, another goal and intent, I guess, on wanting to be in the Senate, is we want to expose what we believe to be corruption.
How do I want to ask this with... I'm not trying to be careful. I want to ask it.
We don't want to get all conspiracy minded here.
No, I'm out of conspiracies anyway. So if anybody has a conspiracy they'd like to loan to me, my theories have all proven true over the last 2 years. Not everybody that's in the House which is majority Republican right now, is a rhino. I mean, we have to be upfront about that. Not everybody up there is a rhino. The biggest rhino's gone now, but not everybody up there is a rhino. There's got to be somebody you're going to on the conservative wing that you're going to be able to work with. Have you looked into that much?
I think I have good connections, I guess.
Well, you have well, better than our connection was earlier. But I mean, you're not going up there to throw around flaming, fiery, arrows at dry piles of hay and chaff, trying to burn everything down. You want to expose corruption, but you also want to accomplish things. That can be hard for an independent caucusing individual. They're not going to bring you into any of the Republican caucuses. The DFL is not going to. The DFL is damn sure not going to bring you in, because you're going to have. You might work with them on things, but they are not going to like you, because you are not a statist by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
So what are you going to be able to do when you're up there to find those rock solid, traditional, conservative individuals who get elected and are going up there? Nathan Wiesenberg, comes to mind. What are you going to do to be able to talk to those folks and say, hey, we got to do this together? I know I'm an independent, but we got to do this together, because aligning with you, and not because of you, but aligning with you could even make them be exposed to hostility from their own parties.
It could, but so far, I've received quite a bit of support during the campaign from Republicans that are campaigning. I don't know if I necessarily want to name drop, but there's quite a few of them that seem to support me
Well, I don't know.
along the campaign trail.
I don't know if it's name dropping. I mean, if they're saying they're going to support you, I mean,
Well,
and
Bill Lesky, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Lesky, he's running. He's Republican endorsed. He just won his primary. And I'm just looking at Facebook likes. It's not like we're having conversations and whatnot, but they're publicly.
Well, if it's happening on Facebook, it's real life.
Yeah. I get public supports from other candidates. And
well, you've got a relationship with Nathan Wiesenberg.
Yep. Yeah. I just talked to him and Liberty Longbeard tonight.
Well, okay. So let's bring up Liberty, because he does a lot of work with Duesenberg. Liberty Longbeard's done a lot of work with Jake Duesenberg, and I know that Jake had spoken to you and had mentioned that he wanted you to run as a Republican and was not real happy when you decided to go the route of running as an independent. Do you think that's affected your relationships that you might have been able to have? No?
He told me I was going to have to be a celebrity to win as an independent. So I told him, well, okay.
It's okay. So his philosophical perspective is that the only way an independent can win is if they're well known and famous already, not establish their celebrity status, but already have an established status as a celebrity, like a Jesse Ventura or something.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what that meant, but I honestly did expect some support from him, which I didn't get any.
These are
hard to get here. We worked so hard. Yeah. Other candidates, it's like I wish that people knew what exactly it entailed and involved. So to file as a Democrat or a Republican to run for Senate district, I mean, you just have to pay $100 and sign your name. We had to go on a signature campaign for 14 days to collect 500 signatures. And of course you have to get over an abundance because they're not all going to count.
Right. And that's exactly what happened with Bull
So we
Johnson.
have put in some serious work to it. So I mean, it's just yeah, I did expect more support with how hard we have worked, and we are
Right.
very. I mean,
And
we've
you,
ran our campaign on like I don't even know what we're at right now, but minimal. I mean, we're budgeting and it can be done. So when people say that have the mentality that you need to have a lot of money to run, you don't, and so there's no excuse to not get involved in your local politics. There's just not. And when a candidate is, I mean,
um,
I guess I don't know why you wouldn't support that. So that was a little strange, but whatever. I don't. That doesn't affect me at all. We don't.
no, I wasn't asking it in a, an accusatory way, but it does say something about relationships because Jake's obviously he's got, he's behind some candidates. He's definitely been in there, and Mortensen being a really good example.
Right.
Um, it and still, as a Republican, Mortensen has found himself isolated and alone,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things. I look at Nathan Wiesenberg. I think he's got a really good chance of winning his district. I mean, he won.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, he's got a phenomenal chance. I mean, he won his primary, a three-way primary, rather handily. I mean, it wasn't like a shoe-in, but it was a rather handy victory for him. And uh, what I was, what I'm seeing is that he's gonna go up there, and he's gonna have a lot of the same ideals as you, which is, and there are some others that are out there running, that have those same, a lot of the same views. Stephen Lowell is another Senate candidate, down from around the deeper into the heart of the Twin Cities. He walked in; they didn't have a Senate district candidate, uh, or yeah, they didn't have a Republican candidate for his Senate district, and he made a comment, and they're like, "Well, why don't you do it?" And I'm like, "Okay," and he walked away with his, um, with the endorsement, and he's campaigning, and you guys have phenomenal phenomenally, aligned views, which I think is going to make you guys formidable and are going to allow you guys to affect a lot of change at that level. And I'm looking at that saying, running as an independent, are you going to be willing to go up there and look at the Lowells and look at the Wiesenbergs and others and say, we may not be exactly the same, and I might be a conservative, you know, traditional conservative independent, but we've got to link arms on these things because we've got to make some change. This state, where I feel on this. This state needs some change, and it needs it fast, or we deserve everything that happens to us if the state flips deeper blue.
yeah, no kidding.
And I'm almost, and I said this last Tuesday, I'm almost kind of at that point where I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should. Maybe we should advocate for that because maybe the party leadership of the Republican Party, especially, and others, maybe they need to see how much pain can really come our way for them to pull their heads out of their collective derrieres and start to do something that's actually for we the people, which ironically is what you named yourself,
Yeah.
party wise. Um, how vocal are you going to be in trying to round up that support at the Senate level?
I I think very vocal. I mean, like I said, I think good rapport with a lot of these people already. It seems to me like there's been an emergence of new candidates wanting to get involved, right? Trying to beat out these incumbents because I think Eric Mortensen hit it on the head on a live stream I watched of his. Is yeah, power corrupts, absolutely, definitely. Um, and so new people do get involved, need to get involved, and we are. I don't think the independent tag means anything. I mean, we're conservative. They filed Republican because that's how we've been taught to do it, you know. But there is another way.
2 years ago, would you have imagined running for office?
Well, 2 years ago, I was working for the Trump campaign, and yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I had pondered it in the back of my mind before.
I think kind of that niggling little thought back there, like, well, if I can do this work for the Trump campaign, I can run on a local level.
Well, my thought actually was, if Mary Franson can do it, I sure can too.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm just being honest, right?
Roasted. Yeah, Mary. That's directed at
I like Mary. She's fine. She's Republican, party girl. But
well,
I guess during 2020, as far as I was concerned, she was one of the only ones that did fight for us. Everybody else put their mask on.
Yeah.
Which is weird, which is why I could never understand, like, this fight between Eric and Mary. And maybe that's not my place to even understand. I mean, whatever.
I don't know if anybody can. Well, I've had Eric on, and I've had some others on, and I've even attempted to have Deuce on, and that goes nowhere. But I don't. Here's what I'm going to say. Not everybody that disagrees with me is a rhino.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I think you're right in what you're getting at. We do need to be careful how we use that word. I mean, it's careless to throw it around. That's for sure.
No, Ashley, I'll correct that. I think it's more than careless. I think it's intentionally harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it does is it says
degrades their character.
You need to agree with me 100% lockstep on every particular issue, because if you don't, then you're 100% wrong on everything else. Because this is one issue that I've now made a litmus test. And there are certain litmus tests that I do have. Second Amendment is an absolute litmus test. I will not support any candidate who compromises in any way on the Second Amendment. I will not support any candidate in any way who compromises on the First Amendment. I won't support somebody on other particular issues that aren't really necessarily part of the stream. But I'm not going to call somebody who says, here's the deal. I might disagree with the way the executive powers and emergency executive powers bill is written. But I think there is a place for it, but it needs some modification. And when you say that, then the other person looks at you and says, that doesn't make me a rhino for not agreeing with you 100% that it just needs to be scrapped right now. And so we definitely have to be very careful, even with your opponent. I'm going to throw it out there. We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday. I don't know that Tory's a rhino. I don't know what's going on. I need to tell everybody in my house that when I'm doing a stream, they have to leave and not use the internet at all. I need to not live in the deepest, darkest regions of Southeast Minnesota. We're lucky we have electricity most days and indoor plumbing. So, I'm just not willing to call somebody that I need to just keep talking. You talk, I'll just sit back. I don't know.
Well, do we want to bring Christine on, maybe?
Yeah, let's just throw Christine in the mix, because my connection issues aren't crap enough the way it is.
We'll just take over.
Here, you guys, well, it's funny that you say you're going to take over. It's funny that you say this, because I don't know if Christine's told you this yet, but she and I are going to have a show together.
Oh, she tells me everything.
Yeah, we don't have
any
secrets are lies.
You weren't supposed to tell anybody that until this is my channel. You're fired. You can't be until November.
Isn't that the way? Fired before I even start.
No, we're gonna. It was. Ashley's gonna win in November. In January, she's gonna take office. Christine's got to have something else to do. because she's used to doing 14 jobs at a time. She was messaging me the other day as we were talking about waiting for the response from the courts and the response from the respondents. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing my job and my employee's job all at the same time. So I'm doing 2 full-time jobs and I'm managing my house and I'm taking care of the kids. But hold on, I'll get back to you." And I'm like, "Whoa. We're just chatting."
Well, we're real moms. We're Minnesota moms, and we can multitask.
Yeah, we can run
We've
campaigns and
we've trained for this moment.
yep.
I don't, hey, Minnesota dads are pretty, we work hard too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can bring home the bacon. Wait, that's a song about women. Never mind. It's a feminist anthem. So you two have been friends for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So was it an argument between the two of you which one was going to run for Senate, and like Ashley, you won because you have all the free time in the world. I mean, you're a realtor. You couldn't possibly have anything to do.
No, she made her announcement that she was running, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" I want to help. So what do I got to do? And she's like, "Well, we have to get all these signatures." And to be honest, the whole time she was like, "Christine, you should run too." She's like, "You can run for rep. We can campaign together." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't know if I'm ready for that." And truth be told, I wish I would have taken her advice because we could be running 2 campaigns at the same time. But it's awesome to be a part of this movement because Ashley's brave. She took a leap of faith, and so far it's been working great. And
well, she did something a lot of people can't do, and she drummed up signatures, which is almost unheard of these days. I mean, Nathan Miller brought Bull Johnson down to his district. You can't mute yourself just because.
I'm sorry, my child is right behind the door, and she's weaponized her vocal cords, so I'm trying to edit her.
Well, after all of the other struggles we've had tonight, that's actually entertaining. So, yeah, Nathan Miller brought Bull Johnson down to his district to gather signatures, and then Nate caught crap for that from the insiders. For how dare you bring a non-Republican in? And Nate's like, I just want to give this guy a chance to win, or not win, but get on the ballot.
Yeah, something funny that happened when we were on the signature campaign. I got a lot of Democrats that signed my petition. I mean, it's not a vote, but it doesn't. The rules just aren't fair. It's just not fair.
Well, they listened to you talk, knew they weren't going to vote for you, but wanted to make you a spoiler over Tory. They think they're going to split the vote.
Oh, most people don't even know who their senator is or who the candidates is. So that's not true. They just really came from a standpoint of they think everyone should have a chance on the ballot. And so that's another example of how we can come together. I mean, this 2-party system, all it's done is polarize each other to the point of they made us, by design, of course, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Well, the founding fathers never intended for this to be a 2-party system. In fact, they fought so hard against it at the very beginning, and it devolved almost immediately, which, that's what we do. We destroy things like.
Well, I think it just goes to show that
as you guys,
people need to be more informed. You can't just count on having an R or a D next to somebody's name and think that person's going to represent your values anymore.
Well, we don't even know our neighbors, let alone know our candidates.
That's true.
Society's in a weird spot.
Can't tell if TC is locked up or just sitting there.
Oh, he's locked.
He's locked up. Well, we'll just keep talking then. We're going to take over your stream, TC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about that We the People party that we want to make?
Yeah. Well, that is something that, that we're looking to do is potentially evolve We the People into a party, or at least an organization that helps people who don't want to have to be stuck in one dichotomy or the other in this two-party system, help them run.
Yeah.
Now he's really going to let us take over his show. Look, it's just us.
Yeah. So in 2 years, I mean, House, representatives in the House are up for candidacy, and I think we'd love other people to get involved. We'd like to encourage people to get involved.
Hey, I'm back.
Hi. Welcome to
You took over your stream. We don't need you anymore. Oh, wait, maybe we need you to run the controls.
Obviously, that didn't work either. I don't know what happened. Did you guys keep talking when I froze?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, because I know it works.
Good practice.
Yeah, good practice for when you take over my channel.
I don't know about that, but
well, so I was asking you guys. You just had a parade on Saturday, and how big what town was that in? It was like
it's Belgrade, so I think their population's somewhere around like between 350 and 500. It's a relatively small town, but they draw from the other countries. So I mean, like as far as parade attendees go, I would say there was at least 2,000 people there.
And what was the reception like?
It's always
good reception. We always get phenomenal.
Yep, we have people flag us down for Ashley's pamphlet. I had a lady who she was across the street because Ashley and I we run on either side of the float, and we always end up with the float a mile ahead of us because we're handing out business cards and literature and stuff like that. We actually interact with the people at the parade. But I had a lady from the other side of the street, the side that Ashley was on, flag me down for Ashley's information because she said that she saw us at the last parade we were at and she didn't get information there. And so she's like, I wanted to make sure that I got your information the next time I saw you. So
Ashley, you don't just have male groupies asking about you now. Now you got females chasing you down. You have arrived.
Yeah. Well, we've just had great support and good feedback. I mean, we're out here talking as we're walking the parade. We're talking to every single person on the side of the, either street. Christine takes one side, I take the other side. She's pushing a double stroller front and back. Whatever. I don't know how she's doing it.
Got a stroller behind you and a stroller in front of you?
No, in front of the other.
And back, yeah.
Okay, that confused the heck out of me. So she's got like a wagon strapped to her. She's out there like an Amish workhorse.
I would do that if I had to.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Christine, but people are telling me all the time that they're going to vote for me. Oh yeah, we're going to vote for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is excellent because most people in Minnesota, even though we're known as Minnesota nice, they'll just let I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk to a DFLer if they show up at my house, but I'll just let them know, like, just so you know, you don't have a chance.
So we've done like a lot of campaigning in Pope County.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in Douglas a little bit, Swift County. We haven't yet to step foot into Big Stone, so I'll be there all weekend at a campground. And Corn Fest is this weekend. They have a parade there. I think you're coming for Corn Fest, aren't you, Christine?
Yep, I'll be there.
And then I
thought you were asking me, and I'm like, hey, Christine has not asked me for that one yet. I was like, I don't even know Corn Fest. That's like I'm from the south of Minnesota. They will not like me up there.
That would be a long haul.
Corn Fest.
Well, everything is Corn Fest in this district.
Well, I'm surprised it's not that down here too, But I'm just like Corn Fest. Like where they were the last town to pick what a name for their festival, and it was the only thing that was left. What do we got left? The only thing left on the list is corn. I guess it's Corn Fest. So
that's where the Democrat candidate is from. She's from Big Stone County. She's in Nortonville, and so that's where I'm gonna set up shop.
And what's and how long has she been in office?
Oh, she's not in office.
Okay. Well, let's make sure we keep that a reality.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that in the least.
No, this voted like 67%.
Well, you are confident.
Statistically, my area doesn't vote for a Democrat, looking at the voter turnout and the past elections. Yeah, there's no concern there. She is a woman, though. She's a younger woman, so she's got that edge. I think she'll get a higher voter turnout maybe than historically in the past the DFL has. I think the DFL put a better face out there this time around.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to faces, it's definitely going to be you and the DFLer.
I just mean something out of the norm, you know. I mean, typically, what's a stereotypical politician? Yeah, you're a middle-aged white male, right? So having a younger woman run, I think, does give her an edge.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's, to her credit, I mean,
she's out there working. She's door knocking. I appreciate her enthusiasm because I know my district, and I know that my district is conservative, so I can just about imagine the reject in a lot of these. And so to continue going forward, I mean, that does say something about her persistence and her character.
Do you think people are rejecting, if there's rejection happening, do you think the rejection is coming from a place?
A Democrat around here, I think you're getting rejected quite a bit.
Well, but do you want people just voting based on, do you want them not voting for her just because she's a Democrat? Or ideologically, are people not going to vote for the Democrat because they know ideologically what that person stands for? And I think that's a huge conversation that we need to be having, because you're going to need to separate yourself ideologically from Tory. If he doesn't get removed from the ballot, you have got to separate yourself from him ideologically. And that, and this is the harshest I'm going to be, that young lady is going to be very tough to do if he comes in and he points at how many years he's been in office and says, look, I've had a stellar, and Christine and I talked about this last week, I've had a stellar conservative voting track record for voting throughout my whole career. Now, there's going to be some question about some of his pork barrel spending and whatnot that has come up over the last few cycles.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to separate yourself from that.
Well, Tory's into welfare, so I mean, anytime he's talking about an issue, he's patting himself on the back for spending grant money.
Right, but there again, even in conservative strongholds in Minnesota, I didn't mean for this to sound like I'm challenging you too hard, but
no.
Even in conservative strongholds in Minnesota, and I hate to say this, but there are a lot of people walking around with their hand out going, oh yeah, give me that money. That for COVID. Give me that. Oh, like, sorry. I just broke my own cardinal rule. We do not say the name of the virus on my channel. It's the COOF. Give me that COOF money because, you know, I'm a frontliner, or give me that COOF money because I had to stay home, or give me that COOF money. There were Republicans celebrating that. Not politicians, but just Republican conservative people. I work in an environment where nobody's a frontline worker, but they all applied for the money. And to a man and a lady, they're all conservatives. I'm like, what are you, seriously? Well, I'm owed that. The hell you are. So I don't know if that's going to be a good, there again, just me sitting on the outside, because it's easy for me to do. I'm not your campaign manager. I'm not the boss. You're going to have to find some really tough sticking points. You're going to have to bring out the howitzer, so to speak, and be really willing to like lay it out on the line and show where he's not what he's going to try and paint himself out to be. In a three-way race, if he doesn't get removed this week by the judge, it could get real heated, real ugly. So,
I'm not going to claim to know Tory at all because I don't. I met the man one time, and it was on Veterans Day at the VFW as I was collecting signatures at the table behind him for my petition to file the next day. It was the day before filing that I met him the one and only time. So I don't know the guy at all. And so as I'm out campaigning, what I'm hearing about him is not the best. He actually doesn't even have a good reputation. These people are they've never been challenged, TC. Bill Ingebrigtsen, I mean, before they did the redistricting, Bill Ingebrigtsen was is my senator. He's retiring this year, of course. And then Tory, everybody knows Tory is the guy who's been in since 1996. Oh, yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah, I remember Tory.
Holy cow, he's been in longer than my kids have been alive.
Yeah, the feedback that I'm getting from people is that they're not impressed. And that has nothing to do with me because, like I said, I don't even know the guy. I'm just out spreading my own message. And, well, who's your opponent? I mean, and I'm nothing but forward and truthful. Oh, Carrie Dory, the Democrat from Ortonville, and then Tory Westrom, the Democrat. Oh, yeah, I've heard of Tory. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What was her name?
Carrie Dory.
Carrie Dory and Tory Westrom.
Tory and Tory.
That I would screw that up on the campaign trail without. I'd be like, don't vote for Carrie Dory. What?
Yeah, neither one. Vote for me if you want to be free.
Oh.
So then, just going back to my Democrat opponent, I do appreciate that she's out campaigning, whereas Tory. So back to another point, Bill Ingebrigtsen. I mean, I don't think these people have ever been challenged. They're like incumbents that nobody's challenged, and that's a frustrating thing to me, TC, because a Senate district is composed of 80,000, and you're telling me that not one person out of 80,000 can challenge our incumbent politician? I mean, so I think that the reason why he's in is just because that's just what it's been, and nobody's ran against him. Besides the Democrat, of course, but like I said, my area doesn't vote for a Democrat.
Well, I've been a constituent of his for Tory's for 12 years, and I have not once seen his face since the first time he ran for Senate district. So it was he came to my house in 2012, I believe it was, and asked.
He was House of Reps before that, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, because he was switching which chamber he was in, so he had to go out and campaign. And he came to my house and talked to me and asked for my vote, and I voted for him in every election he ran because, like you said, there was nobody else to vote for. Unless I was going to vote for the Democrat, which, to be honest, the Democrats didn't do a very good job campaigning either. I think this is the first election year that I've really seen anybody campaign that hard. And I think that is because Ashley's running and she's campaigning hard.
Actually, you had a hard out of 45 minutes and we're now at 52 minutes and 50 seconds. So
I'm okay.
You're okay. It's like, so you're going to just go do your door knocking in the dark in rural Minnesota? That's a good way to get shot and shoveled into a hole somewhere.
Yeah, I have
yeah.
a strategy on reaching the voters. I don't know. Maybe door knocking is a tried and proven method, but I think there's a more strategical and logical way to hit the voter base.
Well, you couldn't possibly come up with anything more unique than the gal that I heard about who just started an OnlyFans for her campaign.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm not even kidding.
It's Walls' daughter. I don't know if it's true or not. I guess I never went and looked it up.
I'm not going to look it up, so please don't even say it. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think
OnlyFans started as a workout site. So quite honestly started as a workout site. But no, literally there was a gal who's campaigning for office and she chose to use OnlyFans to raise money for her campaign, and all she does is talk about verboten political topics on her OnlyFans. That's all she does. There's nothing else going on. That's all she talks about. So it's like I'm like, that's actually pretty cool.
Well,
unique.
That was how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez reached her voter base. She did live streams while she cooked on her Instant Pot.
What do you mean?
So AOC, when she first ran, was doing live streams on like TikTok and stuff. And she was
cooking in her Instant Pot.
Cooking in her Instant Pot while she is talking about politics and stuff like that. It works. I mean, I wish it didn't for her.
but AOC is not who everybody thinks she is, by the way.
Oh,
I have a friend named Monica Perez who is a very strong. She's actually anti-politics. I don't think she even votes anymore. And she has a really powerful podcast called Deep Dives with Monica, and she has talked about created persons on her podcast, and she has gone through and she does breakdowns of all these created, and by created she's not talking about it in a philosophical spiritual sense. She's actually talking about a strategic creation of these individuals as political entities. And AOC is not she's not who she says she is. She is literally she's a handpicked, placed and created and placed political robot, not literally a robot.
Well, there's a lot of plans, I believe.
No, but she's literally, she's gone through and showed where she's been to these schools and how she tells a story about, having to work in a restaurant to work her way through school and to take care of her family as a server and on and on and on.
Or the bartender.
Bartender or whatever. And all of it is, yeah, sure, she's maybe done those things, but none of it is that's not like she was placed where she was placed, created to be who she was, to do exactly what she's doing. So she could have gone onto Instagram and crocheted and won. And that's actually the fight that you're fighting, even here in Minnesota, because we see this constantly. There's even the sense of this identitarian reality that Republican or DFL there are people who think that their kids should get their Senate seats and their House seats because they've been in it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Have you committed to a term limit on yourself?
She hasn't signed any formal documents.
No, I'm not asking for a signed pledge or anything like that, but are you looking at this and saying, if I'm going to be true to my roots, I have to put a limit on myself?
So I absolutely believe in term limits because, like I think I said earlier, Eric Mortensen hit it on the head when he said power corrupts. That's for sure. I believe that's an absolute of human nature. So probably 2 terms should be the limit, right? And then you go for higher office. So maybe I'm deluded, of course, but I'm a very big Karen. Anybody who knows me probably knows that, like, I'm the biggest Karen, right? So I don't know. I just want to go all the way. I want to talk to the manager of the land. Like, that's how unhappy I am. I'm just not happy with. Did you guys freeze?
I didn't. No, I think TC did though.
Yeah. So you keep moving up. You run for a different office, but yeah, you don't sit in the same one.
What about running for? What if you win Senate, you do 2 terms, and then run for city council somewhere or mayor? How about instead of going up, having an impact on the local level?
Well, from what my experience and from what I'm seeing, there's not enough people that are vocal enough and loud enough and shaking things up enough. So I don't think shaking things up at city council is going to do much. Maybe, but it's just an idea that I've been floating with people because, you look at like a Munson who just got out of office. I would love to see not Eric, excuse me. Boy, that'll get me shot on a lot of levels. But imagine a Jeremy Munson walking into a county commissioner seat or walking into a city council or a township board and saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I know how everything works. I'm here. We're going to make some changes." And maybe somebody gets to that point, like Bill Ingebrigtsen, my senator. He's retiring as far as I know, unless maybe the GOP is going to pick him to be the new endorsed candidate, possibly. Who knows what's happening? Anyways, retiring from Senate, he's been in. There was rumors that he was going to run for school board. So I guess when your energy maybe starts to be not as much, maybe that is what you do. You cool it down a little bit and you continue your civic duty. I guess it just depends where you're at with your life and what time you have to afford to it.
I may actually be even smaller government than you. Because I know you're small government. I might be tiny government. I actually, if I had my way, we would disband the House, the Senate, and the governor, and we'd leave everything up to the local cities. But that's pie in this. Everybody has their own little kingdom. I am the council of my home. So.
And that's why, I mean, grassroots is so important. And as I was, like I said, going on my signature campaign, I would tell people, hey, run for council, run for commissioner, house, heck, run for Senate, and we'll face each other off, but please get involved.
We saw something happening over in this region that I haven't seen in a long time. There was a group of conservatives in Rochester who, as a group, ran for Rochester Public School Board. Now, they weren't all running for the same seat, but as a group, they were like, this is who we are. And they had signs made with all of their names on it and distributed those signs throughout the entire city. And people took notice. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it really starts to make an impact. I got the ladies over here telling me we got to be off in 10 minutes. One of them's got to go I don't know. She's going to go start her OnlyFans campaign page yet tonight. And
we have kids to put to bed.
And then another one, and then another one's got to put. Well, you both have kids to put to bed.
So
Ashley, who's taking care of your kids while you're doing this? They're out running around the neighborhood, door knocking for you.
No, I'm on my summertime schedule. So they went to their dad's yesterday for the week. We alternate 1 week on, 1 week off in the summer.
Oh, that's got to be hard on mom.
Well, I've definitely been kept busy in the meantime.
Well,
they've been phenomenal in their support. I wouldn't be able to do this without the support of their fathers. That's for sure.
That's awesome. I like to hear that.
Which is another thing that our campaign is prides ourselves on. We believe in shared parenting here in Minnesota. And it's kind of an issue that's affected Christine. So maybe you should talk about it because I've been nothing but willing to share my children with their father and want to at that. I want to share my children with their father. It's half their kid.
Well, you can't be a single mom in Minnesota and want to share your kids with a father. The courts will never agree with that.
That's the problem. Right now, we have a presumptive 25% custody, and with Title Title 40 funding, there's a federal incentive for as much child support as possible to be ordered. And that child support is directly tied to how little time the child is with the non-custodial parent. So our federal government incentivizes the state to order egregious amounts of child support. And the only way that they can do that is by limiting the time that the non-custodial parent has with the child. So we would like to see, and we would push forward a bill for shared parenting, presumptive 50-50 custody, meaning that unless there's some sort of compelling reason why both parents can't have the children half the time, then that's what should be ordered.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the new host.
Nothing like putting me on the spot.
We lost. Oh, there's Ash. I call you Ash all the time in short. I don't even know if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I've been called worse.
Call me Betty. I don't care.
Well, just before we go, PC, just to let you know, I've hit the refresh button on this C-Track site about 100 times since we started the stream, and there's still no response. So for those of you who might be...
the Supreme Court case, Christine?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for those of you who might know what we're talking about, our case against Tory Westrom for his ineligibility to be on the ballot, he has until the end of the day to respond, and he has not yet.
And it's unclear. It's unclear to us if it was 5 o'clock or if it's midnight. I guess we're not sure.
Yeah.
I just want to share this. Sarah, who earlier said she loves all the ladies representing lately, gives me inspiration for my future endeavors. She also says she agrees with me, and that's all that matters. is that the Hispanic libertarian in Owatonna says I'm right.
Yeah, I just added her on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah. She's a firebrand, by the way. Just so you know, she is a firecracker.
Oh, you go, girl. Sorry.
Why not the same thing that Christine did?
What the hell is happening to my stream?
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what? Never mind. I'm just gonna.
You've been there.
I just put a piece out.
Although Minnesota did the way they calculate their child support, because it used to go by groupings of like, I'm making up numbers right now, but let's say, 5 to 15% custody, or 15 to 35. They actually do go by overnights now, which is fair, obviously.
Yeah, it's better. Yep. But there's still, so Title 4D funding is essentially the federal government will give dollar for dollar to the state, whatever's ordered in child support, in order to enforce said child support. So if they order, say, $400 a month, which is probably really low, I'm sure there's like 18 dads on here that are just rolling their eyes right now. Like, I'd love $400 a month. But if they order $400 a month, the federal government actually gives the state of Minnesota $400 a month for that case in order to just enforce child support in general. And then
it's in the best interest of the courts. It's in the best interest of the courts of Minnesota, the family courts, in particular the custody courts, to order as much support as they can get away with, because the more they order, the more they get.
Right.
And having worked inside of the correctional system of law enforcement as a detention in a local sheriff's office, as a detention deputy in a local sheriff's office, the third largest metro area in the state of Minnesota, I will tell you that on any given day, a good percentage of the people that you're dealing with are dads who are in custody on civil issues for child support. And this is, you got me going now.
The system's always been stacked against people.
It absolutely has always been stacked against people, but it's been twisted and twisted and twisted and twisted to be even more stacked against men.
Oh, for sure.
And you're looking at situations where you got guys who genuinely want to take care of their kids. And I got news for you. If both of you get into a situation where you can't keep your pants on and you have kids, you both got to be ready to take care of them. But criminalizing through civil courts a dad and saying, oh, by the way, and it almost always is a dad. Rarely does it ever turn into a case with women. It happens, but almost always turns into a case with dads. By the way, dad, you need to get a job. And if you can't get a job, we're going to throw you in jail. Which, by the way, then we're going to tell you we're going to put you in our work release facility until you can get a job. And then you got to go to the employer, to the job site, and say, I can only work certain hours because I'm in jail for not paying my child support. And they're going to be like, what? And so you got to have the set schedule. And by the way, if you can't keep your job because you don't have your driver's license, because the state takes your damn driver's license from you for not paying your child support, and then they tell you, you want to get your driver's license back, get a job.
And pay your back child support.
And then pay your back child support. And so, yeah, if you're a dad, take care of your kids. If you're a mom, take care of your kids. But we had a situation with a guy, Marcus McGowan. I don't know. You should be able to look him up. Rochester, Minnesota area. A guy named Marcus McGowan. Rochester County attorney, or Olmsted County attorneys found out that he was in town. He was living in Florida. He was originally from Rochester, had an import-export kind of business. They were doing well. His wife divorced him, took him to court for child support. The courts just socked him, and this was over 20 years ago. Socked him with a massive child support bill. His daughter would come and visit him, and he told me this story over and over and over again. I know you guys got to get going. But he told me this story just constantly when he was in custody. He'd say, man, I'm telling you, Todd, my daughter would come and visit, and she'd be in ratty, dirty, nasty clothes, and her mom was constantly driving brand new cars and buying brand new furniture and throwing parties. And I got to the point where I'm like, what is she doing with the money, sweetheart? And he was like, Dad, she's not buying me stuff. She's spending it on her boyfriends and spending it on this. And so he started to buy his daughter clothing, give his daughter the money, and he was keeping receipts. Eventually he moved to Florida. Kept doing that with his daughter. Ended up $150,000 in arrears. Or $135,000, $150,000, something like that, in arrears in Minnesota. His mom got sick and was dying in Rochester. He comes home from Florida to visit his sick and dying mom. His ex-wife, who hadn't seen him in years, found out where he was, turned him in. And of course, he's got a warrant for his arrest. So deputies run out there and they arrest him. They throw him in jail. And the county attorney, the county attorney's child support prosecutor, told him, "You're not getting out until you pay this." $130-some thousand he had to pay to get out, was what they were telling him. Just think about that. $130,000 some he was going to have to pay, or he was never getting out. That's damn near a life sentence for a guy who's well into his 50s if he doesn't pay it.
Right.
Over child support. And they finally took it to court, and the courts, he found an attorney. He paid an attorney on principle, and they ended up winning some sort of settlement to get him out. But think about that. And we want to sit here and talk about how we're taking... No, we're not. We're literally causing the division in this state. Mm-hmm. And it's done intentionally to destroy the family. We talk about family values. We got our governor out there in this together. No, they're not. And here's the thing. The Republicans aren't doing a damn thing because we're about taking care of people, too. They're not. The Republicans could walk in and say, we're changing this tomorrow. And they won't do it. They won't do it. Because they're afraid to tackle the system.
Well, look at any of the lobbying that's done to suppress shared parenting or any kind of laws that that make the system more fair and more family oriented and what's actually in the best interests of the children. All of the lobbying against that is paid for and performed by family law attorneys, because it's their income that you're threatening. Right. Whenever you talk about making the system more fair and not needing to go to court for every little thing like that.
Pretty much you can always follow the money. And the sooner that people realize that the system is not in their favor, it's absolutely against them. And that was the intentional, deliberate point. I think that's when we can start to make progress and see change. And so that's one thing we want to do, is just vocalize.
I don't care how much you hate your ex, baby mama, baby daddy, whatever the question might be. I don't care how much you hate them. Short of them actually being dangerous to the children, right. Your desire should be...
Children aren't pawns.
They're not pawns, and they aren't a way for you to get money from somebody. Mm-hmm. Your desire, no matter how much you might despise that person, there again, short of them being dangerous, your desire should be to work out child support in a written agreement. Privately. Period. Instead of taking it to the courts. Period. And that should be allowed by law in Minnesota. Across the country, really. Right. Ashley, 30-second elevator pitch about why the people of Senate District 12 should vote for you and why you're going to be good, not just for them, but for the entire state of Minnesota. 30 seconds. I know you can do it.
I believe in our constitutional rights, and I think I'm a very loud and vocal voice. And I think that I am the one that is qualified for the job. I guess I don't know what to say, TC. I believe in what I believe in, and I believe in it so strongly that nobody is ever going to waver my feelings. I'm not going to be... I don't think I can be bought or sold. I am so strong in my convictions that they won't be moved.
Minnesota, constitutional carry state? Should it be?
Yeah. Like, I don't even like guns, TC. Like, to be honest, they scare the shit out of me. Like, they're scary. But, like, I want everybody...
We can't be friends. You gotta like guns.
I want
don't worry.
everybody to have the right to have their guns because I feel like there's a big shadow government taking over, and it's malicious and it's deliberate.
Christine, you got to take her to the range.
I'm going to.
You got to get that girl to the range before the election.
No, guns scare me.
No.
They're loud, they're scary,
No.
but I want you to have them.
We want you to have them.
No, maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yes. Okay. For my viewers in Minnesota who are gun owners, besides her campaign manager, we're going to have to get you out there with Ashley. We are going to round up a bunch of gun-toting bros. We are taking you to a range, sister. You are going, and we're going to walk away, and you will love it. I guarantee it. You will walk away a gun-loving girl, which will make you we're just going to have you out there posing.
Yeah,
and you will win everything, just all of it. It's the whole deal. You will win the whole thing. You'll be governor by the time it's done.
I absolutely believe that
free speech absolutist.
The people need to be armed in order to protect themselves from tyranny. That's for sure.
Free speech absolutist.
Yeah.
Is there any such thing as hate speech? Christine's say no. Is there any such? No. Should the government be telling you what qualifies as hate speech and what doesn't?
No. The government shouldn't tell me very much of anything at all. I was placed on this earth, and I was given my rights inherently from just being born. No man gave those to me.
Why'd you have to say it like that? No man gave me that.
Yeah, no man.
No man. Like,
those white middle-aged men.
You know, that is the second time you made a dig at middle-aged white guys tonight.
Because that's what our society has done. You're demonized. I acknowledge that. The war is against the white middle-aged man. And it's unfortunate.
And then white middle-aged Karens. And you're not a middle-aged Karen yet.
No, she's got a ways to go.
I don't get ID'd anymore.
We are not gonna tell anybody that you're under 30.
I'll be 30 this year.
Yeah, but we're not telling anybody that you're under 30 and running for office. You were the youngest person I've met running for office in Minnesota.
That's what people tell me. So the first time I was approached, I've been told it numerous times, but the first time I was like a little nervous because I thought they were serious. They're like, well, you're too young to run for office. And I was like, oh, sorry you feel that way. They're like, yeah, everybody's like 85, didn't you know? And I was like, oh, good one.
Well, I do think there's something to be said for not letting a lot of guys run for office until they're like 40.
I have 3 sons. Like,
I will dig on men a little bit. Men mature slower most of the time. You know, I really don't want a 21-year-old guy running for office because his brain is still mush. You'd walk in the room and he'd be like,
America.
Girl, vote. That's a bit whatever she says. That's exactly like that's why you don't want a young guy, because they all follow around AOC going, please, go because it's dark and we can't see you anymore anyway. And then I'll finish up. You get out of here and we'll finish up with the boss.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Christine, I know you got to go too. So you're managing your campaign on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, so we don't get PAC money, we don't get party money because that's the independent candidate life. And so we've spent less than $5,000. I've quite a bit less. I want to say we're right around the $3,000 mark right now. And we started campaigning in the middle of June. And we've raised significantly less than that.
So Ashley said that she has a different perspective on things such as door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she says you don't have to have money to win. So she doesn't believe, and she probably does like a little bit of one-on-one contact with people, but she's hitting parades, but she's not doing traditional door knocking. And she has some different views. So Was it just you just going to show up at Cornfest and hope that people like the blonde girl? What is it? What's your plan?
Yep. Well, I mean, so far her social media engagement has been really good, and not that necessarily everybody that engages with her on social media is a voter from her district, but quite a few of the people are. So we've gotten a lot of traction from that. At the parades, we're handing out business cards and magnets mainly. The magnets, I think, are the best because they get put on somebody's fridge, and it's just repeat messaging until well past November when they can vote for her. So the parades has been our biggest thing. And I know that you've talked to Travis or Bull Johnson, and he had mentioned, when he talked to Colin Peterson said, you got to go to these parades. You got to go to these parades. Well, that man got into Congress like how many times? So I'm sure he's correct. So we just started going to parades, and we will do some door knocking to reach that voter base that's not necessarily on social media as much, but we're thinking that'll probably be, into next month and the month after. And then it's just going to be a big push to get out the vote, which I really think is just getting Ashley's face out there to everybody that they can. Yes, her website is also a good source of information.
I are good host.
You are a good host. So Klingbeil for Senate is the website, and we have it spelled correctly and wrongly, just because we know that that's a difficult last name to spell.
Do you remember IR Weasel?
I do. I remember I has cheeseburger too.
IR good host. So people didn't. I don't know if people know this, but we're serious. We're going to be launching a series together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about legislation, current and coming legislation. Once the session gets heated up again, we might even start doing a little bit of stuff before the campaign's over, just because it'll give us a chance to get our feet wet, so to speak. In the realm of talking about the things that Ashley will be having to deal with when she gets up there to the Senate, and we're going to be relying on Ashley for insider information.
Yes, she'll be vital.
So when she gets the legislation, we're going to be looking at it, and for those of you that don't know, I do different kinds of research. Christine is a digger. She likes to dig into things, and so this is right up her alley. And so when we get new bills that are coming, we are going to dig into those bills, and by we I mean Christine will dig into them, and then she'll give me talking points, and then you'll just look at this face and then laugh at me. And then
tell me not to laugh, and I'm gonna laugh more.
And then we will talk about that legislation and the ramifications of that legislation as it will impact not just Minnesota, but even what the implications of that might be. And we might even see if we can find insiders at the federal level as things pertain, especially to Minnesota, but even across the country. But we'll see. We're not going to see how it goes because we know it's going to be a hit. We don't know how often we'll do it because she's a busy mom. She manages a house, kids, a husband. He's out there somewhere. I mean, the kids are clearly not burned the house down throughout the course of this yet.
He's doing his job, I guess.
He's doing his job. They might be like pneumatically nailed to the floor at this point, not through their body, through their clothing, but we're definitely looking at taking a deep dive into legislation and the impacts of that going forward. And that's not to say every bill that comes down is dangerous. There certainly is such a thing as good legislation, but we definitely need to be looking at it. And when we get to the omnibus bills, we need to go in there and shred those before they make it to the floor for a vote, so that we're putting that information out for people to look at this and go, this is what your Republican and Democrat overlords are doing to you. And that's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows that according to this law and the Constitution of the state of Minnesota, omnibus bills aren't allowed.
Right.
They're not allowed. So it's not like 2020 was this brand new thing, Christine, where all of a sudden we don't care about the Constitution of the state of Minnesota or the federal or the Republic Constitution. Like Minnesota has been ignoring its own Constitution and the federal Constitution for decades.
Mm-hmm.
For decades. So it was very easy for them to ignore the Constitution when it came to the coup.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, it didn't surprise me that the government...
I hooked her in. She ain't getting off anytime soon now.
It didn't surprise me that the government took advantage of that situation. I think what surprised me was how many people put up with it. Like, I really expected a lot more pushback from the general public, and not to discredit or lessen the some of the folks that really did try to, stand up against it. I have a couple of family members who got personal phone calls from Keith Ellison's office because my cousin owns a bar, and it's just a bar. She has like little snack foods that she can serve, wings and pizza and stuff that basically comes out of, oven on the counter. But liquor is what she serves. And so whenever everything was shut down,
I like your cousin already.
She didn't have any income. And so after like weeks and weeks and weeks of nothing, she finally was like, I'm done. I'm opening my bar. If people can go to Menards and Home Depot and be okay, then they should certainly be okay at my bar. And she put out a notice to, I think, just her Facebook friends. I don't even think that it was like super publicized, but somehow Keith Ellison's office got wind of it and personally called her and threatened her, told her that she would be in jail if she did. So she,
And as we know, Keith Ellison is not afraid to put pressure on local prosecutors like Kelly Don Martinez of the city of Albert Lea to jail business owners like Lisa Hansen.
Right.
Or the threats hanging over the head of Marvina McFarquhar or Lisa Monet Zarza. Like, she was threatened with the same stuff. It's like they're not afraid. They will do it. I'm scrolling back through our chat trying to figure out. I sent you a name for the show, but I can't. We chat.
It was like deep into the woods or something.
No, it was we got to come up. We got to come up with something better.
I don't know. I kind of like that, but
we'll have to find it again though.
Yeah. Well, either way, it'll be fun. I think it'll be easier for people to digest.
The deep woods of Minnesota with TC and Christine.
There you go.
The deep woods, yeah. But we're gonna have to add something in there to make it clear that it's about legislation and it's not you and I walking around looking for Bigfoot.
Well, that
could be fun.
Tory's property, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know that you're not afraid to go get lost in the weeds. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Speaking of which, did anybody ever contact you and ask you about your hand in that?
Nope, not a word. I think Ashley shook him up enough.
Well, I think that if they were paying attention, and I know they were, if they were paying attention to that show, I think that sheriff might have been like, oh, we're not going to get involved with this one after our show last week. So,
well, I'm wondering if they're even filing a police report on this, because Ashley's been calling asking for it, thinking that it might be necessary for any response we might have to come up with.
I would imagine that all you would need to do is call and request the CAD, the computer aided dispatching report. They may not actually have a police report on it, but there's going to be a CAD record of it.
Yeah. I just got the open door for my husband, so I do really need to go.
He's like, I can't handle putting these things in bed.
Yeah, they're out of control.
I'm sure you've got a baby that needs to eat too. So
yes.
Well, get out of here, and Have a good night. And where can people donate as their...
Yes. So go to klingbeilforsenate.com and you can either donate online or we do have our P.O. box on there as well if you'd like to donate by check and save us a little bit in processing fees. Anything is appreciated. We can make it stretch and go a long ways. So every little bit helps. And thanks so much, TC, for having us on. And
Well, I hope it was...
talk about Ashley.
You could fill me in later about how it went besides the spinning wheel of death. So
It went well.
all right. Well, get out of here. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. All righty. There again, she's probably not in your Senate district. And if you are seeing this and she is in your Senate district, look for her, talk to her, ask her questions. Ashley will not shy away from answering them. If you are in the state of Minnesota or you're not in the state of Minnesota and you just happen to want to support somebody who's very much small government, very much libertarian minded, but not interested in playing the two-party politics system, you can go to her website. There is a link to it in the description of this video. You can send her words of encouragement, but even more importantly, if you can spare a few bucks, send it her way so that she can really tackle this system. And keep your eyes open. We're going to be doing updates about her situation with her Republican opponent once we find out what the courts rule and what their answer is. As soon as we can get an answer on what their response to the challenge is, we'll be putting that out as well through my media and theirs. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, and to the hate watcher, and I know there's a hate watcher who's watching, you know who you are because you're up in that neck of the woods. Stop harassing Ashley. Stop the texting. Stop the phone calls. Stop leaving voicemails. Nobody's interested in what you have to say. You're a kook. You're crazy. No one likes you. And Christine's not a stalker. So that, I'm sorry, it just needs to be said. And leave me alone. Don't send me any more emails and stop calling me. I don't care. I know you threatened. I'll expose you. Okay, expose me. I don't care. I do not care. I'm done with kooks of all types. Of all types. I might be a radical, but I'm not a kook. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I have a bunch of people who are supporters in different ways. Moral support, philosophical support, words of encouragement, all of that. People who buy product. Just got another person checking in, wanting to order more of the coffee. Oh, look, I'm getting better at this, doing it from behind like that. So coffee is amazing. Merchandise is amazing. Oh, hey. There we go. If you're interested in merchandise, tcpearson@protonmail.com. If you're interested in coffee, tcpearsonprotonmail.com. TC Pearson on Facebook, @Robe Regiment on Twitter. Let me know what you want. And shipping is pretty inexpensive the way I've got it set up. So, in fact, I can tell you right now that 3 bags of coffee is going to run you about... Bags and shipping is going to run you about $52.50 roughly. And I have a frequent buyers program set up. So every 10 bags, you get a little something for it. And once you decide what you want and you reach out to me, I'll get it out to you the very next day. Head over to Ashley's website, check it out, and make sure you're going and checking out my Sherburne County content that I brought up at the beginning of the show, because it really ties into how we manage local politics, how we manage public servants here. And I believe Sherburne County could be a catalyst for change in the state of Minnesota. I really do believe that. So please go check out my Sherburne County. I just got a playlist that started there. Check that stuff out and make sure that you are following that story, because we are making a change here in the state of Minnesota. And there's some other counties that we're going to be reaching out to and having some impact on. We're going to affect change at the local level here, folks. School boards, city councils, county commissions. library boards, you name it. We're going to have that change. So head over to Subscribestar, pick a level of support. Glad to have you. Really appreciate it. Thank you to the folks over at Arden Sales Group for your continued support. Thank you to Tim and to Larry and to like all of the gals on Subscribestar that have gone on. There's just way too many of you to name. Sarah and others, just thank you so much for the support on Subscribestar. You guys literally help keep the internet working, well, most of the time. So until next time, folks, fight for your freedoms, fight for your liberties. They are all yours. They belong to you, and they are worth fighting for. And Sic Semper Tyrannis.
We are going for liftoff in T-30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at